Hey everyone, it is Hugo here. I am not going to sugarcoat it. My investment journey started with a lot of mistakes. I mean, a lot. I was 20-something, fresh out of college, and all I could think about was getting rich quick. My parents, bless their hearts, they were always careful with money, but they didn't really teach me about investing, so I was flying blind. And let me tell you, flying blind in the investment world is like trying to navigate a minefield with a blindfold on. You are bound to step on something explosive, and boy did I came from a regular family, nothing fancy, so I didn't have a huge safety net that just made my early losses sting even more. I was easily swayed by big promises and flashy headlines, chasing after whatever stock or trend seemed to be hot. At the moment, my early 20s were basically a masterclass in what not to do with your money. I was constantly buying into hype, selling in a panic, and generally just making emotionally charged decisions. It felt like every time I tried to make a quick buck, I ended up losing twice as much. One of the first big lessons I learned the hard way was about short-term trading. I thought I could outsmart the market, predicting every little twitch and turn. I'd spend hours, days even, glued to charts, convinced I had found the next big thing. I'd jump in with both feet, heavy with anticipation, and then inevitably watch my money vanish faster than ice cream. On a hot day, it was a brutal cycle chasing gains, cutting losses, and mostly just racking up losses. The thrill of a small win was quickly overshadowed by the crushing weight of a major defeat. I was so focused on short-term profits that I completely ignored the bigger picture, the fundamentals, and the very real risks involved. I learned that the market doesn't care about your feelings, and trying to trade your way to wealth is a surefire way to empty your bank account. I was so naive, believing every tip and rumor I heard, thinking I was getting insider information, when really it was just noise, expensive noise. Then there were the scams. Oh, the scams, you hear about them, you think that LL never happened to me. And then it does. I fell for a couple of classic high-yield, low-risk schemes. They sounded so good on paper, too good to be true, and guess what? They were. The lure of easy money blinded me to the glaring red flags. I ignored my gut feelings. I dismissed the little voice in the back of my head saying, walk away. I just wanted that big payout, that instant gratification, and I paid for it. Dearly, it taught me a painful but necessary lesson. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Always do your homework and then do some more. Don't trust strangers with your hard-earned cash, no matter how convincing they sound. Another massive error was ignoring risk management. I'd go all in on a single stock or a single sector, convinced it was a guaranteed winner. I didn't diversify, I didn't set stop losses, I just put all my eggs in one basket and hoped for the best. And when that basket inevitably tipped over, I was left with nothing or very little. I learned that diversification is just a fancy word financial advisors throw around. It is a shield, a protection against unexpected market swings and individual company failures. I was betting big, hoping for big wins, but not preparing for the equally big losses. It was pure recklessness fueled by a desire to get rich quickly. I wish someone had sat me down and explained the power of compounding, the importance of long-term thinking, and the absolute necessity of managing risk. Instead, I learned through the painful process of watching my balances dwindle, emotionally trading. That was a huge one. I'd get excited when the market went up, greedy even, and buy more at the top. Then, when things started to slide, panic would set in, and I'd sell at the bottom, locking in my losses. It was a roller coaster of emotions, and my bank account bore the brunt of it. I was reacting to headlines, to fear, to FOMO, instead of sticking to a sound strategy. I let my feelings dictate my financial decisions, which is about as effective as letting a toddler drive a car. It is going to end in a crash every single time. I needed to learn to separate my emotions from my investments, to be calm when everyone else was panicking, and to be patient when others were chasing fleeting gains. These were all hard lessons. I am talking about losing a significant chunk of the money I had painstakingly saved up. It was crushing. Honestly, there were moments I felt like giving up entirely, like I was just cursed when it came to money, but eventually that frustration turned into a burning desire to learn, to understand, to do it right. I realized that chasing quick profits was a fool's errand and that true wealth building is a marathon, not a sprint. So I stopped, I took a deep breath, and I started educating myself. I devoured books, articles, and reputable financial content. I learned about sound financial principles, about risk, about long-term investing. I started to understand that real wealth isn't built on speculation, but on consistent saving, smart allocation, and a disciplined approach. I shifted my focus from trying to get rich quick to building a secure financial future. Now I am all about steady saving, understanding risk, and making low-risk, diversified investments, no more chasing hot stocks or falling for get-rich quick schemes. My goal now is to share what I've learned to help other young people, especially those in their 20s like I was, avoid the mistakes I made. I want to demystify investing to make it accessible and understandable. Without all the confusing jargon, I want to talk about the basic principles, the non-negotiables, the things that can really protect your financial future. I often get asked about specific withdrawal sequences for retirement, and honestly, it is a bit like a puzzle. No one size fits all answer. But here's what I've learned from my own journey and from seeing countless others make similar mistakes. Most people, myself included in my younger, more foolish days, tend to drain their readily accessible cash or after-tax brokerage accounts. First, it feels safe, right? You are not touching those big retirement accounts. But here's the kicker. If you have a significant portion of your wealth in pre-tax accounts like a 401k or a traditional IRA, those become tax bombs down the road. When you retire, especially if you are not earning income anymore, you are likely in a lower tax bracket than you were when you were working. This is your golden opportunity, folks, to strategically pull from those pre-tax accounts or do Roth conversions to fill up those lower tax brackets. If you just let them sit there until required minimum distributions, RMDs kick in, you could be forced to withdraw large sums, pushing you into higher tax brackets and potentially triggering other penalties like Medicare or Maya. It is like having a limited time discount code and forgetting to use it. You miss out on real savings. I wish I had understood this earlier. The power of tax diversification, having a mix of pre-tax, after-tax, and Roth accounts gives you so much more flexibility in retirement. You can choose which accounts to draw from based on your tax situation each year, minimizing your overall tax burden. But many people don't think about this until it is too late. I was certainly one of them, too focused on just accumulating money, not thinking about how I'd eventually take it out. Another huge mistake I made, and I see so many young people doing this, is not maximizing vehicles like health savings accounts, HSAs, if they re-eligible. When I was younger, I thought, health savings, what is that? I am healthy. I don't need that. Big mistake. It is arguably the most powerful retirement account out there, triple tax. Advantage: you put money in, it is tax deductible. It grows tax-free. And if you use it for qualified medical expenses, it comes out tax-free, even if you don't use it for medical expenses. After 65, it acts like a traditional IRA, allowing tax-deductible withdrawals. It is a no-brainer for anyone with a high-deductible health plan, but it is often overlooked. I always tell people, if you can, let that HSA grow. Don't touch it for current medical bills. Pay those out of pocket if you can. Let it become a medical expense war chest for retirement. And don't even get me started on the backdoor Roth strategy for high earners. I initially thought Roth IRAs were only for lower income folks, but there are legitimate ways for high earners to get money into a Roth. It is not a scam. It is a legal, smart way to get tax-free growth and withdrawals in retirement, but it requires understanding the rules, especially the pro rata rule. Many people miss out on this because they don't even know it exists, or they've made mistakes like rolling old 401ks into traditional IRAs, which complicates things. I also learned that it is crucial to understand your goals, your spending habits, and your likely tax situation in retirement. It is not just about accumulating a big nest egg, it is about how you strategically manage that nest egg to minimize taxes and maximize your quality of life. This involves projections, estimations, and sometimes with a good planner, even sophisticated software that models different withdrawal scenarios. I used to think it was just about picking good investments, but it is so much more nuanced than that. Another big one, and this relates to my emotional trading days, is thinking you can time the market. IV tried. IV failed spectacularly. The market is unpredictable, and trying to jump in and out based on news or your gut feeling is a recipe for disaster. It is about time in the market, not timing the market. And for those nearing retirement, having a diversified portfolio that accounts for sequence of returns risk is paramount. If you take big losses early in retirement while you are actively withdrawing, it can severely impact the longevity of your portfolio. This means having a cash bucket or a very conservative portion of your portfolio that can cover a few years of expenses, protecting your growth assets from being sold at a loss during a downturn. I wish I'd understood this concept of bucketing earlier. It would have saved me so much stress and money I've also seen and been close to. People who work far longer than they need to, they've accumulated enough wealth, but they're afraid to stop, afraid of what comes next, afraid of not having that paycheck. It is a mental hurdle as much as a financial one, and what often happens is they miss out on years where they could have done strategic tax planning, where their income might have been lower, allowing for Roth conversions or strategic withdrawals at favorable tax rates. They just keep working, often delaying their retirement, and then face an even larger tax bill on their pre-tax accounts later on. And let's talk about healthcare in retirement, specifically Medicare. It is a huge hidden cost, and many people, myself included in my younger days, just don't grasp the complexities, choosing the right Medicare plan, understanding supplements versus advantage plans. It makes a massive difference, especially as you age and inevitably face more health issues. I've heard too many stories of people getting stuck in Medicare Advantage plans that limit their doctors or require extensive approvals, only to find out when they re-sick that they not getting the care they need. It is crucial to prioritize your healthcare planning for retirement, because it can be an absolute financial wrecking ball ball if not handled properly. Lastly, when to take Social Security, another puzzle. Many people just grab it at 62, the earliest possible age, thinking they invest it and outperform. While that might have worked in certain market environments, it is a huge gamble. Social Security benefits increase significantly, 8% per year, for every year you delay claiming past your full retirement age up to age 70. That is a guaranteed return that is hard to beat, especially if you don't need the income right away. It is a pension, a foundational income stream, not an investment to be speculated with. And understanding survivor benefits and which spouse should claim when is another critical decision that can have hundreds of thousands of dollars of impact over a lifetime. I used to think Social Security was just a given, you just take it when you want, but it is a strategic decision that requires careful thought. My journey has been full of missteps, but each one has taught me something valuable. It is why I am here sharing my stories, my blood and tears lessons, so you don't have to make the same mistakes. This isn't about being perfect or never losing money. It is about learning, adapting, and building a resilient financial plan. It is about realizing that chasing quick riches often leads to quick losses, and that true financial security comes from patience, knowledge, and a disciplined approach. I am still learning every day, but I am no longer the naive kid who thought he could beat the market. I am just a regular guy, sharing what I've picked up along the way, hoping it helps you on your own financial journey. Thanks for listening, and remember, it is your money. Learn to manage it well.